Yes, people, welcome back to the Shoestring Budget Podcast. I'm joined as ever by my man Tom. How you doing, bro?
I'm great. Good to be back.
Good lad.
Finally.
I know, man. It's been a long time coming, but it's good to be back. Firstly, apologies for my voice again. If you didn't see yesterday's stream, I have got a chest infection and I am struggling with it, so you'll have to forgive me there. But how's your Christmas been, bro?
Yeah, it was good. Yes, a couple of days with the family, then stayed at home Christmas Day with little one and that. So, what about you?
Nice. Yeah, pretty much the same. Very relaxed. Seeing family, but very chilled. Big up to Pete in the comments here. Evening, Pete. Hope you're okay. And the family are good. So, let's jump straight in. I mean, this is a subject that I never thought I'd be covering, to be honest. I thought it was going to be a wrapped up deal for Manchester United. We were tickled with it all the way through the summer. And then over the World Cup, it was almost guaranteed that Manchester United would be signing Cody Gakpo. However, that is not the case. Today it's been confirmed. I think it's been confirmed for the last couple of days, but today he has actually travelled to Merseyside to complete his £37 million deal to join Liverpool Football Club, our arch enemies. What's your reaction, your instant reaction to that, bro?
Well, it proves, doesn't it, how bad of a club United are in terms of transfers. How they've been apparently speaking to his agents or whatever it is for the past 6 months. And 37 million's not a lot of money in football terms. So if they can't find an agreement to pay 37 million, how on earth are we expecting to get a striker in January that's gonna go for less than that, who's somebody who's gonna score us 20 plus goals a season? You know what I mean? Like, if they want a good striker, they're gonna have to pay a lot more than that. So if they struggle to pay 37 million, then I'm worried when it comes to January.
No, exactly the same. Obviously, we lost Cristiano Ronaldo by mutual consent after that bombshell interview he did with Piers Morgan just before the World Cup, before the opening weekend. And, Eric Ten Hag has reiterated the fact that we need a striker. Even watching yesterday's game, I know it was only Notts Forest, but there were so many missed opportunities, and there was...
With the chances that we created, if we had a proper striker, we could have won 5, 6, 7-0.
We could have put big numbers past them. Big up to Tio as well in the comments. Pete's put here, Arnautovic is our target. I swear, we're going to talk about some of our transfer targets, Pete, because I don't think you're far off with that, mate. I do think we are looking at that calibre of player in January, to be honest. A lot of reports I've read today, I've read a few different articles, and they all seem to be pointing at the same kind of players. And we'll talk about all of them in a few minutes' time. But one thing that's really worrying, and like you said, Tom, if we can't fork out 37 million for a player with the potential of Cody Gakpo, what the hell can we do? This is Manchester United we're talking about. Do you know what I mean? This isn't a Stoke City or a Bournemouth or a Fulham. This is the biggest club in world football, and we're struggling to find 37 million to get Cody Gakpo.
United are up for sale. The Glazers aren't willing to spend money, whereas Liverpool are up for sale, but they're still willing to spend the money on the players that they need, regardless. So it just shows you there where the actual problem is, and it's been the same problem that it's always been, which is the Glazers.
That's it. The board are just incompetent. I mean, I love this comment here from Tio Ratpo. I'm a big fan of that. That's what I'm going to call him now. I'm not his boy anymore. I like that. Fair play. But it's just really disheartening, isn't it? Like you say, Liverpool are up for sale, but their board is still looking at Liverpool as a football club. Our club's up for sale, reportedly. That's a topic for another day, because I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. I've got a feeling something's going on. Something dodgy's going on.
Or just a social media hoax.
I think it's...
Try and bring up the numbers.
I think that's what it is. I think it's trying to generate hype. Because if you look at it from a business point of view, if you bring in players like Cody Gakpo, someone that you can actually spend a bit of money on, Frankie de Jong, as Theo says, is another player we were linked with. if you're putting your club up for sale and you can invest in a good squad, that ramps up the selling price. Do you know what I mean? That sells up.
Yeah.
That ramps up the price that you can put the club on the market for. I mean, it's reported that it's between 6 and 8 billion that it's floating on the market for, which is astronomical. Considering like Chelsea a few months ago went for, about 3 or 4 billion. Absolutely madness. So let's talk about the potentials that we could get now that Cody Gakpo is on his way to Liverpool. Very quickly on Cody Gakpo, actually, I found a quote. Dwight, who was also on this channel from time to time, he also sent us the interview with Fabrizio Romano, and this is just how angry I am, I guess, with the board.
I know where you're going with this.
So this is a direct quote from Cody Gakpo, as tweeted by Fabrizio. I was close to leaving PSV. I spoke to Eric Ten Hag a few times at Manchester United. In the end, the deal didn't go through, and it was a shame. Manchester United is one of the biggest clubs in the world. Now, that doesn't scream to me like as a player that wants to go to somewhere like Liverpool. He wanted Manchester United. That was his first choice. So all this nonsense that we took an L and that he chose Liverpool over us is absolute BS. Sure. It's nonsense. The only difference between Liverpool and Manchester United at this point is Liverpool have got a competent board. That's the only difference, and it's a big difference.
What club hasn't at the minute?
To be honest, I can't think of a club in the top 2 tiers of English football who have got as an incompetent board as we have. Pete's put in here, they're looking for investment rather than selling. I'm sure of it. I agree, Pete. I think that's what it is.
It's got to be.
And gotta go wash the dishes, lad. Be back in a few minutes, says Tio. Yeah, no worries, bro. Get them dishes clean, lad. Fair play. But it's an absolute joke. Now, something that Pete just said there about looking at investment, and also picking up on your point about if we can't spend 37 million in January on a striker or a player that we need, what can we do? Now, a lot of the reports, even from BBC News, Sky Sports, have all reported that there is a potential that Manchester United literally do not have any funds for January, and we would be looking at a loan option. Now, loan options nowadays aren't as simple as they used to be back in the day. You could loan a player out, 10 years ago and pay 500 grand and then the wages, or half the wages. Now, they cost just as much as a transfer. So we'll move on to our first target, and a lot of people think we're going to get, and that is João Felix from Atletico Madrid. Now, what do you think, firstly, about João Felix? Do you think that's someone that we should be looking at? Do you think it's a good shout? What are your thoughts?
I think it potentially could be, but I think it was Pete said yesterday in the group chat, like, his stats don't sum up for Atletico Madrid for the amount of money that he'd be going for. But to be honest, I've never really watched João Felix because I don't watch La Liga or whatever. It's like same in the World Cup. I think he's obviously is a class player, but again, is that going to be one of them kind of like a panic buy, if you know what I'm saying? Because they haven't really thought about it. Because we need somebody who's going to be willing to be there long term, going to be the main man. And can João Felix be that person?
I mean, it's yet to be seen. I mean, it's a signing that I was fully against. I like João Felix, but I don't think he's Premier League ready or proven, obviously.
That's what I mean, because you hear all this stuff about him, but I've not actually seen anything from him, from what I've actually seen of him, that's been world class.
Yeah, and I think the price is driven up by the fact that, not necessarily down to his ability, but I think it's driven up by the fact that Atletico paid, 120 million or whatever it was for him, for his signature in the first place. I mean, at one point, he was second or third most expensive player of all time when Atletico Madrid signed him. So that's where the money comes from. Now, it's also been reported with this loan deal, it's going to cost around £8 million to sign him on loan. So that's just the loan fee. And then we'd have to pay 100% of his wages, which means just to loan him until the end of the season from January would cost Manchester United in the region of £16 million. Just to loan him.
It's just, what's the point?
Exactly.
You,
For 11 million more,
saying,
you get Cody Gakpo. For 11 million more, you get Cody Gakpo.
But there's that saying, like, never fall in love with the loan player.
Well, that's it. But there is also an option as well. It should be noted. There is also an option to buy at the end of that for about 60 to 80 million.
If there's an option to buy at the end of it, I'm not fully against it. Because if they're gonna intend on buying him, then fully go for it. But I don't see just a loan as an option full term, because obviously it's a loan. We need somebody full term to see us through for the rest of the season to try and secure that Champions League spot.
Phil's just put in the comments here, we don't need any more old players, prima donnas or massive stars. Use the youth. Now, for me, that is why I really wanted Cody Gakpo. He's a young lad.
Yeah, that's Cody Gakpo. He's young.
He's a young lad, vibrant, talented. There have been some good points raised, and they were raised months ago when I was waxing lyrical about him. One of the things was he isn't an out-and-out number 9. He does like to play along the front 3. Now, for me, that's not a problem because you look at our attacking line, and I said this during the watch-along yesterday, they intermix or interchange so much. Martial will sometimes play down the middle, and then sometimes he'll drift off to the left and swap with Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford will sometimes play down the middle and swap between the left and the right flanks, same as Anthony.
But I don't see Martial as the full-term striker that we need, because he might have scored yesterday, but he doesn't, I don't know how to say it, but he doesn't get in the positions, or he lacks that little last bit of edge in his performance every time I see him play.
I think it's that killer moment, isn't it? Yeah. No, I know what you mean with Martial. I like Martial, but I don't think he's the out-and-out number 9, mainly because of his history of injuries. For me, that's the main thing. I think if he was consistently fit, we might see that killer edge that you say obviously is lacking. But the fact is that he's missed so many games this season alone. So, I'm just having a look here at Pete saying, I really think Jonathan David could be a solution. Jonathan David isn't going to happen. I really don't think it's going to happen. It should.
Good shout, but it's not really ever been on the cards, has it?
I think because of the kind of club we are. Liverpool would go out and sign someone like Jonathan David, somebody that's not as well known, somebody who's got a cheap price tag, who they know they can get something out of.
Anybody better than Darwin Núñez?
Darwin Núñez. I mean, Núñez is going to come good. Don't get me wrong. Núñez is going to come good. And when he does...
Yesterday, he'd be a quality player if he could finish.
Yeah, when he can actually finish, I know that's his main role, but you look at the chances he creates and the positions he gets into. Once he gets that final killer instinct to score, he is going to be lethal. Like, I really stand by that. What have we got here? Can you read have you got the comments up there, Tom?
Yeah, Phil said if United sign Marco, I'm done.
Well, Marco Arnautovic, like I said before, is the calibre of player Manchester United will be targeting. Someone cheap, someone experienced, someone who they can pull in.
Is he experienced though? Realistically,
you look at him.
He's been at Stoke. He did well at Stoke. All right, let's not get that wrong. And he was at West Ham. He did all right at West Ham, but he's never been in a big team. But
what I mean is, in terms of his experience, he's Premier League proven. He's somebody that has been around for a long time. I mean, he's what, 33, 32, 33?
And again, I don't want that.
No, I'm not saying I want that. What I'm saying is you look at it from Manchester United and you look at the board and the way we operate, he's the kind of person we will buy. I mean, I loved Edinson Cavani, don't get me wrong, he had his faults, but Edinson Cavani was a very similar player in the sense that he was experienced. He'd been around the block a lot of times.
But he didn't last very long.
But Manchester United don't think like that. He's 34, says Pete. The other big candidate, so firstly, João Felix. I think that's the more likely of them, which would annoy me considering it's going to cost a reported 16 million to bring him in on loan, which is 11 million less than Liverpool are initially paying for Cody Gakpo. So I'm annoyed at that, but that's another thing. The other option, and that looks highly likely, is Memphis Depay. Memphis Depay, potentially free in January. Played at Manchester United before, didn't work. But that is looking the most likely, other than Joe. I would take him. I don't even know if I would. I'd take him as an option, as a backup option, not as a main number 9. And that's what we'd be bringing him in for. I'd bring him in if it was like we had, I don't know, we had Osimhen or someone like a good quality striker, and he was just coming in to play the last 20 minutes of a game or an extra attacker to chuck on. I'd absolutely buy him then, for free. But not as our main number 9, not a chance. Not for me.
I agree, but like I don't know what it says, Phil. Like, we need youthful players that are going to stay for a while and be a long-term solution.
Yeah.
Not just a quick
totally
1,
agree.
2, 3 year solution.
And the thing was, I thought that would die when we got rid of Ed Woodward. I thought those were Ed Woodward signings. Big high-profile names that will sell shirts, all that. But I don't know. When I'm saying these things, by the way, I'm not saying that this is what we want or I want. This is literally the way that our board think. This is literally an indictment of the way that this club has been run. It's an absolute joke. The fact that we've got no striker other than Martial, but again, he's missed about 35-40% of the season. You know, we are now looking at Memphis Depay, Marco Arnautovic, another player that we've been linked with, Alvaro Morata. He's another player that we've been linked with by quite a few newspapers. Like, come on. I feel like Manchester United have turned into like Newcastle before they were taken over by the Saudis or whatever, the Arabs. We are like Newcastle United looking at these kind of players. This isn't Manchester United. It's an absolute farce. And the fact that we potentially don't have any money is mad.
You remember a time when we used to sign young players like Wayne Rooney and Ronaldo?
Mm-hmm.
Well, look what they did for the club.
Yeah, longevity. Yeah.
Both legends of the club. And who are we after now?
Marco Arnautovic, a Stoke reject.
Yeah. Has-beens or rejects.
Yeah.
That have not really shined through.
No, it's an absolute farce. Something I think Asif yesterday in yesterday's watch along said about Manchester United will probably end up going for Odion Igalo, bringing him back. I can see.
He was quality. He was.
I can honestly see us going for something like that as well. We are a joke of a club, but these are who we've been reported in signing. So, I mean, João Felix, I think will happen. I'd be very shocked if we didn't end up with João Felix.
Yeah, but we would have been very shocked if we didn't end up with Cody Gakpo, and look what happened there.
Well, that's true. I mean, knowing Liverpool, they'll probably end up signing João. I cannot understand how Manchester United have let that deal slip through their fingers. So the reported thing happened was it was like 3 days it took for Liverpool to secure Cody Gakpo's, signature. 3 days. He's now in Liverpool having his medical. It's an absolute joke. Farce. Morata is most probably the best option out of the ones you've mentioned, and that's sad. I know. Isn't that's heartbreaking?
So crazy, isn't it? Because like we at the minute we have got a quality team, but it's literally just that striker position, because we could score so many more goals with the chances that we create. For example, last night against Forest, 3-0 could have been double that if we'd have had a striker. Easily.
It baffles me. Now, I'm going to ask you this question, and I'll ask you guys as well in the comments. Should Manchester United, or what do you think? Should we go for someone on loan, maybe a João Felix with an option to buy, or do we just play with what we've got now and see what we end up with, or if we end up in the Champions League or wherever, and then go all out for a number 9 in the summer? I'll ask you that, Tom, and I'll also ask everyone in the comments. So you fire away first, and then the comments will catch up.
I just think we need to go for a full-on number 9. Because why not? Because there's no point in, say, going for a Felix on loan Because yeah, that might have solved the problem until the end of the season, but then we're just going round and round in circles. So come the end of the season, when Felix goes back to Madrid, we're then back in the same position of, right, who do we sign as number 9?
But bear in mind with João Felix, if he works out, we can get him on a loan to buy option.
Yeah, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, say we don't end up buying him, then we're just back where we started. If they have full intention on buying him after the loan, go for it. If it's just a loan with no intention to buy, there's no point.
So yeah, from every report that I've read, it's going to be a loan to buy option with João Felix, and it would be around 60 to 80 million. It would cost an initial 16 million to loan him, and then between 60 and 80 million to buy him at the end of the loan period, should he do well. Would you go for that deal?
Yeah, I would. Like I say, if they have full intention of buying
Mm-hmm.
him, I do not see at all a loan being the solution to the problem. Because like I say, you're just going to go round in circles. It's come the end of the season, you're just going to be back in the same place again, thinking, who do we get as a striker, who do we get as number 9?
Pete's just put in the comments here, play with what we've got till the summer and go for potentially go for an Osimhen David or Ivan Toney. Now, I don't know what's going on with Ivan Toney. There was a lot of talk about him potentially joining us in January. And then he got caught up in a lot of legal issues, and I don't know if that's been resolved. Just before the World Cup, if you remember, he was caught up in alleged betting scandals, so that could put a dampener on him potentially playing football again, let alone moving to another club. Victor Osimhen isn't a bad shout. That would cost in the region of 120 million. There's also the lad from Juventus, I can't pronounce his name, something like Vlahovic or something.
Vlahovic.
Yeah, he's another one we've been linked with, but that would be a summer transfer. And also the guy from AC Milan, which is Rafael Leao, and that he's been heavily linked with Manchester United over the last few months.
Seems like every professional player ever has been linked with United recently.
That's very true. And it's just a mad one. Now, I like the idea of going with youth, but I look at our youth system at the moment and who do we have that could come in and ball at Manchester United as a starting number 9. You got, that McNeil.
Mason Greenwood, man. Like,
Mason Greenwood's one of the beginning catalysts for all the shit that we're in. Mason Greenwood has absolutely messed Manchester United up. Messed his career up, messed his girl up, and messed United up. He's an absolute... no, I can't even describe it. The man's an absolute donut for what he's done. Obviously off the pitch stuff is more important than on the pitch. And how he's disgraced himself there is more important than how he's disgraced himself at Manchester United. But the root of the issue comes from him. His contract should be terminated. The fact that we're going to have to wait another year till his trial's not till 2023, later on in the year. Just get rid of him. Get rid of that number, stop paying his wages, bring someone else in. We're paying him 100 grand a week to play Fortnite in his cell. It's ridiculous.
Crazy, isn't it?
Absolute joker. But yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree with Pete, although it's difficult, man, because I look at that squad and I think, how can we compete this season? If you look in January, Liverpool have strengthened in a position where they've been struggling the most. They've struggled to score goals this season. That's been their big issue. They've addressed that now by signing Cody Gakpo, right? They're going to score goals. It's inevitable. You look at Chelsea, they're getting better. Arsenal are flying. City are flying. Newcastle, we haven't even talked about Newcastle yet. They're also interested in Memphis Depay.
But you wouldn't have thought that all these teams would be so far ahead of us years and years ago, would you?
10 years ago, if you said Liverpool would be battering Man U, Arsenal would be top of the league, City winning everything, you'd have been like, what the heck? This is honestly the worst dream for Manchester United fans. It's a nightmare. Absolute crazy.
I don't think it'd be so bad if we wouldn't have been so successful in the past.
Say again?
I don't think this would be as bad if we weren't as successful as we were in the past.
No, it wouldn't, but I think the fact that they're all our rivals. Arsenal, top of the league, big rivals. Certainly when I was growing up, that was the rivalry.
Yeah.
Liverpool, been a rivalry for hundreds of years. Since football began, Manchester United and Liverpool have hated each other. Man City, Manchester United, rivals. Even when City were in Division 2, they've hated each other. Even when Manchester City was struggling to stay in the Premier League, there was a big rivalry there. And all these teams are doing better. Even Man United and Newcastle have got history. Chelsea United have got history. It's honestly insane, man. And the fact that Eric Ten Hag has done what he's done, got us to within a point of the top four with a game in hand, is an absolute miracle. And it shows if he was properly backed and he had the players that he needs, wow, man, imagine how we would be flying right now.
If he'd have got Gakpo and got De Jong,
we could be top 2. We'd be absolutely flying. Martial with Rashford as backup 9 isn't as bad, but they might struggle to get top 4. Just hope we can spread the goals around. That's the biggest problem. We can't spread the goals around. We are so reliant on Marcus Rashford. Not even Martial. Martial we're not even reliant on because he hasn't been around. Marcus has been the only one that's been scoring goals.
yeah,
Jadon Sancho.
he's had chances.
Look at Anthony last night though, bro, man. The amount of chances he missed. Cocked up. Even on the counter, the misplaced passes, all that, it all adds up. And I think if we get a proper number 9 in January, we're getting top 4. But it has to be
Easily.
the right number 9, and it's, I don't know who we go for. It's,
Keep the defence fit, keep Casemiro, give him whatever he wants,
yeah.
keep him 100% fit, give him 100 mil a week if he wants it.
I'd happily, I'd go halves on that. I'd try and fund him for that.
Yeah, honestly, Casemiro is unreal.
Yeah, he's a beast. Man was a magician last night.
Easily we have the best defensive mid in the world.
Without a doubt. And it's just a joke that we're in this position.
I've seen some people, on Twitter, some Arsenal fans comparing Thomas Partey to him. Like, I saw a post, it was like, who do you take? It was Casemiro, fair. Rodri, fair. Or Thomas Partey. I'm thinking, what? Who let this clown in here? Rodri, I understand Rodri's class. But, like, some of them, I don't understand it. It's delusional.
Pete's put here, our last 10 goals last night were spread between 10 different players, to be honest, according to the commentator. That's absolutely right, but the fact is we're only scoring 1 goal here and there. If you're looking at who's scoring 2 or 3 a game, it's only Marcus Rashford that's getting double figures.
We struggle as well.
We really struggle.
We always struggle to get that first goal. But once we get the first goal, okay, gates are open, we tend to get a couple more. But it's a real struggle to get that first goal. And Rashford is the only one who's been scoring and getting assists.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's all right, well and good saying, we can score 10 goals between 10 players, but that's 1 goal each. You need a player that can get 2 or 3, or a couple of players that can get 2 or 3.
Marcus, need a player that can get all 10 of them goals.
If you look at it, you've got Marcus Rashford who could easily get 2 a game the way he's playing at the minute. You bring in a number 9 that could maybe get another 2. You're winning every game 4 by 4 goals, or you're getting at least 4 goals a game, or close to 4 goals a game. And we are playing so well. Like since that second game of the season when we got hammered by Brentford, the majority of our games, bar the City game, have been decent. And we've only ever been let down by, to be honest, Cristiano. The lack of runs from him. The way that we struggle to play with him in the squad. Thinking about it more, I'd like the look of Kane if we were that desperate. Now, that was brought up yesterday as well in the watch-along about Harry Kane. Would we go for Harry Kane?
Like I said yesterday, I wouldn't be disappointed if we had Harry Kane, but I wouldn't have him as my first option. Because, of his age or price tag or whatever, he's He's kind of been there, done that, won nothing. You know, so I wouldn't be mad if we ever got him, but I wouldn't take him as my first option.
Yeah, no, that's a fair one. I think I'm with you on that, to be honest. You know, I look at it, he's 27, 28, something like that, maybe even older, 29. It cost around 80 to 100 mil. But if he can get you 20 goals, he's a player as well, Harry Kane. He's a good link-up player. He's got very good link-up skill.
I think he could do really well at United.
I do. I think so. He's good at linking up. He could link up with Martial, Rashford, and Anthony up with him. And not only that, he's a player that I think will play till he's in his mid to late 30s because he's not a very quick striker. He's not known for his pace. He's somebody that could get in and around the box and maybe cause a few issues.
Yeah,
he can do that.
He can drop back and hold the ball as well.
Exactly.
You know, he's not supposed to because he's your striker, he's your number 9. But when I watch Tottenham play, he drops back a lot and picks that ball up and makes something happen.
Well, they were comparing Cristiano Ronaldo to Harry Kane and the way that Ronaldo drops back in a similar way to Harry Kane. The thing is with Ronaldo, he struggles to get back into position in time, which is where Harry Kane's on it. But yeah, that's a very good point. But just breaking it down very quickly, Cody Gakpo obviously no longer going to Manchester United, and we've been heavily linked with João Felix, Alvaro Morata, Memphis Depay, and Marko Arnautovic. Those are the players that could be heading to Manchester United. I'm gonna go cry.
Yes, it's not looking good.
I'm gonna cry. I'm really struggling anyway, guys. So I'm gonna call this a night. I'm really struggling with this infection, but I wanted to just have a chat with you tonight and get our points out there, I guess, and hear what you guys think. So thank you to Phil and Pete in the comments, and thank you, Tom, as ever, for joining. Have you got anything else you'd like to add?
Just Ratpo, really.
Ratpo. Hashtag Ratpo. That's what it is.
People Motin is a player I've seen us linked with.
I know. That was one we were linked with back in the summer as well. I'm going to bed. I've had enough.
Yeah.
See you on the next one, guys.
Yeah. See you later.